My name's Tristan. I'm a Cornishman living in Essex and I'm 41.
Cool. All right, so let's start with where the mole was, or was it a lesion? Was it a mole?
A mole on my lower back. Very, very, very tiny. But much like yourself, in 2009, I was living abroad in Portugal, basking in the sunshine, and I got a call that my brother had been in and had a mole removed.
Okay.
And I got the call saying it was cancerous. And basically he was already stage 4. We got told he would have 10 years. A month later that was 5 years. A month later that was 3 months. And about 2 weeks after that he passed. Wow. He had 3 kids, passed on his youngest daughter's 4th birthday. I mean, the whole thing was devastating and just changed my perspective of everything. And that's how I was able to identify mine, and thankfully so early, because all I knew about it, the position on my back, I'd never have seen it. Yeah. I'd never have known it was there. And it just started that every night when I got into bed, I had the same little itch that was just there.
Kind of
Which I thought was the heat of the duvet or putting your PJs on or whatever, but it was just, I don't know, I just noticed I was scratching the same spot over and over again. So got camera angles and mirrors, as we all do. You get an expert positioning mirrors all over your bathroom so you can see every angle. And the tiniest little black dot, which again, this was 2021. So going to the doctors was not the easiest of things.
So that was lockdown as well, was it?
Yeah, during lockdown. March.
Oh, so that was like my second one was the Feb.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I was following your story at the time, and when I hered the podcast with you and Dean, I was like, listen to it, it could have just been me.
Really? Oh, so you listened to our podcast?
I did.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, so as I say, it just changed my perspective, but my main experience moving forward from that was, I sent the pictures into the GP. GP said it looks fine. So I mentioned my brother. Suddenly, 2-week referral.
All of a sudden now they're listening, yeah.
And that's been the case the whole way through because because I caught it at 1A, had a wide excision, and they said that's fine. We're happy with that. We'll put you on the checks. But every time I went back for a check, instead of getting a check, a doctor would come in and explain to me why I didn't need to be there. It's just 1A, it's fine. Could have possibly been in situ. And so I wouldn't get a skin check. And then I'd go back the next time and again, you don't need to be here. You're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it.
It's such a similar story to mine. So I got to my second check and that's exactly how they made me feel. And I think Dean even said it, didn't they? She was like, oh, you'll be fine. Yeah. This was the first one, I think, yeah. And in the end, I just discharged myself because I couldn't put up with the way they was talking to me and how they was demoralising what I was going through. And this was coming from someone who I genuinely was looking to for help, and to give me that reassurance that I was doing the right thing. I just discharged myself. Yeah,
well, I thought about that, but unfortunately I'm...
You're not as stubborn as me then, clearly.
Oh, no, I went the other way. So, because my brother was 35 when he passed, at this point I was 38. Right. And when they first said to me, you know, I didn't hear 1A, I didn't hear caught it early, I just heard you have melanoma, and I could only see the future play out exactly how it had played out for my brother. Worse news, and eventually I was going to have to say goodbye to everyone. And because it was lockdown at the time, my fear was I'm never going to see my family again. Mm-hmm. If I go in 3 months like my brother did, I won't see any friends, no one's going to be able to come see me in the hospital. So, you know, I was living with that even though they're going, you're fine.
You're fine, I know.
So eventually I had to go to the PALS team at the hospital and just say, I've not had a single skin check yet. I keep getting told I don't need to be there. And every time I have to recount the story about my brother before anyone will, because as soon as you tell them that,
it changes. Perk up in their seat and it's almost like, oh, I'll listen to you now.
Yeah, so I wrote in basically saying, if the doctors could just read my notes before they walk in the room, that would be
that is actually
great.
My pet hate, is that I don't know why they don't do that, and they just scan on the notes first before I walk in the door, so you can have just that little bit of empathy of what I'm actually experiencing.
Yeah.
And then the moment they don't do that, and I say, yeah, unfortunately I have a history of melanoma, and they're like, oh, okay, so what you're sure? I don't know, I lost my dad to it, and then they go, oh, and then all of a sudden they're like this, and I'm like, why does it take me to say that for you to then lean forward and pay attention to what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't be like that, should it? It's so bad.
No, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I have nothing but respect for everyone in the healthcare profession. It's the system broken rather than the people in it, but we need to change the system.
Absolutely, yeah. And definitely change that side of it, like you just said. Just do the little bit of the work beforehand before we walk into the room, so you know what you're dealing with.
I think we need as much of that care as we do drug surgery or anything else. I mean, I'm so thankful that this was all able to be dealt with surgically. I did, you know, obviously the fears of chemo or anything like that, but then I did find that by being able to have it corrected without any more invasive procedures, it was then taken less seriously.
Yeah. So the 1A obviously doesn't give you that chance to go and have the lymph node check.
No.
How did that make you feel?
I mean, at the time, probably relieved not to go through any more physical stuff, but it didn't take the worry away because I was like, what if it's not just this one, or what if it is that genetic component or anything?
Just what if, in case. Yeah, just in case.
Because I can tell you now, I promise you, had it not been for my brother, I would not have got that mole checked out. Even in normal circumstances, definitely not during lockdown. That's
mad. So obviously now you have been diagnosed yourself. Do you feel that it is genetic, or do you think that, are you going to be tested for that?
There's been no discussion of checking anything or testing anything. Never.
So you would have to put yourself forward for it.
I've had to put myself forward for everything. I know. I felt like too much of the responsibility fell on me. Yeah. Like I was asked a lot of questions about how I'd like my treatment to go or how I should be seen, and I kept just saying, I'm not a doctor. No. This is why I'm here.
You guide me into it. This is, new to me, but I totally get it.
Yeah, but with the genetic thing, so me and my brother, as close as we were, we lived very, very different lives. So I don't think it was a lifestyle. I mean, at the time when he got diagnosed, I found it cruel because he was a father of 3. He liked outdoorsy activities, but he was always well covered, like mountain climbing and stuff like that. Whereas I was a singer on a cruise ship. I was covering myself with Crisco every day and trying to get as blackened as possible.
So completely different people.
And I felt at the time like it should have been me. I had a lot of guilt over it all. So when it came to be me, then it almost felt like that sort of final destination thing of it had caught up with me somehow. And I think there has to be further links to it.
Especially with genetic, I think, as well.
Big time.
I don't know about you, but you did say that actually earlier on. When you have someone that close to you that has passed away from it and then you get diagnosed yourself, at the beginning for me, I could only think of that's how my story ends.
100%.
That's how my story ends. My story will be exactly the same as my dad's. And it's only now, 5 years down the road, I can honestly say hand on heart. In fact, probably about 2.5 years in, I decided to go, that's not my story. That's not my story. That was his story. Do you get what I mean?
I do. I'm still working.
It takes a while.
I'm still working on that. I mean, the timing at the time was obviously there was the pandemic. Yeah. I changed my career in that time, and with this diagnosis, my life is 100% different to what it was now. And I'm still trying to find a bit of balance between the two, because any extreme is too much. I don't want to be that guy hiding in the shadows. I don't want to be that guy out burning. I want to be able to go out, feel comfortable, confident, and but knowing I'm taking the right precautions for my kids now,
So moving forward now, obviously, when was the last diagnosis it was?
So that was the only diagnosis. I've had 9 biopsies since then. Again, when I complained to the PALS team, I was so lucky to find one of the dermatologists at Broomfield Hospital seems to take a particular interest in my case, and she's kept me on her rotation, so she still sees me every 3 months now, and anything I'm concerned about she'll deal with.
Lovely.
But I really had to fight to get there, which is a shame, because like I said, I think anyone who in the care profession is amazing, but without the support and the resources, no. And I heard you touch earlier on how people respond to this and all the rest of it. It's human nature, I think, that people, they want you to be okay. Yeah. They also just want everything to be okay. And I found, as people were talking to me as time went on, when people go, "Are you okay? You're all right," became less of a question and more of a statement of, "You're all right. You're still here. It's fine." That's all gone away. And the mental side of things and the mental health side of things, I think people cannot.
They don't grasp it.
They can't grasp it.
They don't.
Even with work, who are quite understanding, but when I've had to go in for the biopsies, they're sort of like, "So what time's the biopsy? What time will you be back in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to need a minute on this, because every time is reliving it."
Absolutely. Every single biopsy you have done, the time you get that, okay, we're going to take it off moment, then you're waiting for the letter, and then you go into the room, and then you have it taken. It brings back so many memories from the first one. So it really is an ongoing thing. I can't stress it enough when people just don't listen to the mental side of this. Like going back to the whole, people that have not had chemo, we've not had that treatment and stuff, but we still are reliving it near enough every single day. And like you just said, you're not at that stage yet where you can go, "That was my brother's story and I have a different one." I can reassure you it does happen, but it takes a lot of time, a lot of healing and a lot of time. And I can say that I can say that now. I couldn't say that. If someone would have asked me that 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been like, "No, I don't feel like that at all. I don't feel like that at all." And that just takes time, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I've become a father since then, so that's changed a lot of things. And my focus is obviously now less internal and more on that. So I just try and look after my kids, and I just want to be around long enough that they'll remember me, because that was the biggest thing with my brother. Like, his youngest, we tell her about him all the time, but she'll never really remember him, and I just think we've got to do everything we can to, be around for them.
So moving forward for you now, what would you give to anybody? Any advice if they wanted to check a mole, if they wanted to, they don't know nothing about melanoma?
So the greatest resource I found through our group was the Skin Vision app. I can't recommend that enough. I'm not overly moly, so I didn't think the skin mapping was necessary, but with the app, it keeps a track of everywhere on your body. You see a little dot where every one you scan, you go back in, you can check it against the last scan, and it will recommend if you need to see anyone. Obviously it's tech, so I'd always just say ask, get it checked. Better to annoy your doctor than
exactly that. And that sometimes we do feel a little bit annoying. I get that comment a lot, and they go, "Oh, I found a mole, but I don't want to be really annoying and just go for a mole." And I'm like, "It's not just a mole." When I first came out of the other side of this, because I was a lot more active on social media than I was now. As I said, I've changed jobs now, but especially friends I'd worked with abroad and on the cruise ships and stuff, we had a lot of conversations about, "Oh my God, how long did we spend out in the sun? We were on that beach for so long," and all the rest of it. And I said to everyone then, get checked. Just get checked, get a scan and all the rest of it. And then sadly, just before Christmas, one of my friends put on Facebook that her husband had passed from melanoma. And me and her had that conversation at the time, and it was on their to-do list. But this disease can move so quickly. And skin cancer still has this, it's only skin cancer. It's only your skin, it's not your lungs, it's not your liver, it's not this, that, and the other, but it can be really, really quickly if it's not checked. So I just say, don't feel paranoid, just check. Go to your doctor. Thank you so much.
No worries. All right.
And what an interesting story as well. That is so similar, isn't it?
Oh, like I said, I was listening to you guys chat about it, and I'm just there kind of going, that's my story. Stop telling my story.
Wow.
Thank you. No worries.